Hi, I'm Scott Williams. I am with the Augusta Home Builders Association, and welcome to Building Together. And today our conversation is going to be with Nathan Trice, who is the owner of Pride Electric and is also the current president of the Augusta Home Builders Association, and Zach Straits, who is the general manager of Builders First Source in the local operation in Verona. So Nathan, 2020, our association had a pretty good year. We added members, we had some accomplishments. Even though we were in the midst of a pandemic and the challenges that came along with that. So, when we look forward to 2021, how can we build on our successes from last year? And what do we need to do to make sure we don't have challenges or difficulties?
Well, first off, I'd start with thanking you for your leadership through last year. Like you mentioned, there was a lot of difficulties to navigate, so I appreciate your leadership on that front. I think one of the bright spots for 2020 was our continued membership, and then also the addition of new members.
I know a lot of what we do, you would think traditionally our mass meetings, large groups of people, dinner meetings, those have been impossible to do because of this pandemic. And when we actually get back to being able to have those functions, nobody really knows. So as an association, we've had to try and figure out how do we reach our members, how do we let them know what we're doing, because this whole time we've been having our board meetings, we've been doing the work that we do on a local level where we can, but it's hard to get the word out.
That's a huge concern because we want to keep our members involved and be providing them knowledge and updates of what we're trying to accomplish, and I think this is a great way to do that.
Builders are very busy right now. They've probably got more on their books than they can get built.
Oh, absolutely.
And so all of a sudden now I'm worried about two things. I'm worried about the rising costs of my building materials,
right,
which are real.
Yep.
And I'm also worried about my ability to get those materials, much less what I got to pay for them.
Right. As you said in an email to me recently, it's like ask if I was part of join the witness protection program, because I send these reports out and it's like I need to duck after I do it. But it talks about where the material prices have went from last March. And it's totally unprecedented increases. I've been selling building materials for 40 some years, and I've never, ever, ever seen it in this condition or this expensive. So what the concern is with us is twofold. Is like perfectly what you said, is the price of what we have to pay for the product and then turn and sell to you, but also is availability. There's not enough product in the pipeline to supply. So lead times in a typical normal pattern with a little bit of cycle bumps here and there, I can get lumber in a week. Okay, from Canada, all the way from there. Now, it can be 4 to 8 weeks, and I don't have even a guarantee. So it just keeps extending it. And then they add the COVID side of everything. It's been very tough on manufacturing, especially in the plants where you have windows manufactured and you've got close proximity of a lot of folks. There's been outbreaks in door manufacturers, window manufacturers, and those. So the staffing, as much as sometimes 50% less to build windows when you've got a 50%, sometimes more demand. So that has caused expense structures at the locations. Businesses have been paying out to COVID folks that have had be off work. So that's added cost to the businesses, so that's moved that up some. But most of us is still supply and demand, and so it's real. So what my recommendation is to any builder, anybody in any product, be it electrical, and you can talk about that, supply is, plan. Get with your suppliers, ask them early what's the lead times on the stuff, and just plan and communicate and commit really early.
It almost feels like the perfect storm, because there's a lot of things going on at the same time. Most local real estate markets have a record low inventory of both new and resale product.
Yep, very true.
And so that's driving demand, right, and pushing people more towards new construction, and maybe making them more willing to pay the higher costs that we're having to pass on because of the cost of materials. Is there any relief in sight that you can see, or are we just going to have to kind of muddle through this for a while?
There is a slight chance, and this is a crystal ball, I could be totally wrong, that there might be something happen in the middle of the year, and that might be some of it driven by demand. Could soften some. But you're right, available inventory, for there to be 170 houses on the market in an area this large is, you're not going to be able to find. And I feel sorry for the people that sold their house at a premium, and now they're going to build a new one, and they realize it's like, I can't get as much house as what I had, and they've got all this cash in their pocket. So that's tough, and if you're wanting to build a house, it is still a good time to build. You need to jump on it and do it, because I think the longer you wait, the more it's going to cost.
Well, I have found that now that we start to build in times much earlier about when we need to order windows, when we need to order appliances, etc. But it's not just building, it's not just lumber, right? It's also
it's
electrical fixtures and electrical materials, so you're feeling it too.
It's right along with what Zach was saying. The supply chain is sitting in the same situation as far as electrical components are concerned, and to help my supplier out, that's exactly what Zach was talking about, what I've started doing. I'm trying to look ahead and place orders that I feel very confident about or are under contract, go ahead and start creating material lists and orders, sending it over to them weeks in advance, and at least giving them a chance to see what they have in inventory, what's coming, what they have on order that they're waiting on, and then maybe what they need to go ahead and put out on order because of what we're going to be using and things like that. I think that's a huge key to how we're going to get through it, is we're going to have to give our suppliers as much heads up as we possibly can and give them the opportunity to be able to look at what their situation and how can they best help their customers.
It used to be always a good practice to have an A and B choice. Now it's almost an A, B, C, and D choice, because that A might not be available, and that could stop the construction, and then you're dealing with low interest rates. We didn't talk about that, but it's like they're so low now that if you base on a monthly payment, the cost of the materials is still not stopping a lot of projects. If we were dealing with high interest rates right now, along with building materials, this thing would come to a screeching halt.
Well, for me, this is kind of one of the main reasons that I get a benefit of being a member of the Augusta Home Builders Association. So I can have a conversation with my material provider and with my electrician, and we can strategize together about how to get through this. I'll let you guys know what we've got coming up as far as projects, so you can start working on it. And at the end of my email, I gave you a list. I think I told you that if you couldn't, supply all my houses, I would provide names of my competitors who you could short. You didn't reply to that.
I did reply to that one.
Okay. Well, thank you again. I'm Scott Williams again with the Augusta Home Builders, and thank you for tuning into this version of Building Together.